Welcome, Klas, to Metal Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Darkane, this new album, Inhuman Spirits, and more things related to the metal world. We're starting with a question: how have you been during these crazy times? The pandemic, a war in Europe now, and who knows
Mm.
what the hell happened in the next couple of years? Perhaps an alien invasion, the machine takes the power. Who knows what happened? It's a crazy time now.
Yeah, it has been. Fortunately, we've used the pandemic time to prepare and record the new album. So for us, the pandemic hasn't been too bad since we've been preparing and recording the album during this time. We actually started the recording kind of when the pandemic started, sort of. So, we used the time well, so to say. So it took a while to do the album, but now the pandemic is kind of over. So now we're ready for new challenges on the road.
Yeah. Well, the next question I think is one of the common ones. Why are you delayed 9 years to release a new album? Because your last album was Sinister Supremacy was in the 2013, but now Human Spirits 9 later. So what this delay happened?
Oh shit, that's a long story. After the touring cycle of Sinister was done, there was a series of events that happened. Peter got problem with his wrists, the drummer, and the rest of us we had a lot of other things to take care of our families and stuff like that, and relationships and blah blah blah, and all different things happen, and then we kind of I think we got a little bit lazy as well. That is the problem. So that's why everything was delayed. So we had to. When was it? Probably was 3 years ago when we started working on the songs for the new album. But we had many long discussions about, so what are we going to do? Are we going to just let the band die and all that? But we all agreed on, this is too fun to just end. So we decided to give it another shot and just go for it. But it took a while and a lot of discussion to actually come to the point that all right, let's start working on a new album, take the world by storm, sort of. So there was a lot of things happening during these years, and unfortunately, and the music didn't flow, so to say, until the last few years. So, but it's a long process to make songs and all that, since we all have full-time jobs besides the music. So it takes a while. It's not like it was 20 years ago when we were all, let's fucking work. We didn't have any kids, we didn't have a family, so we had lots of time to work on the music. Now it's a little bit different. But of course, if we wouldn't have been lazy, we would have had an album a couple of years ago. So that's the harsh truth.
Okay. Well, now talking about the history, especially of the band, you, Jorgen, you, Peter, and I think all the first lineup is now into this new album. So the five from the first beginning to now is now in the band. So how do you this is a great achievement for a band because sometimes, as you know, many bands change the guitar, the bass player, the drums, the vocalist. Even you change the vocals at the start of 2000s. But then now Lawrence is returning to the in 2011 for the new albums, etc., etc. So, what is the key to maintain the same lab and for more
It's
than it's perhaps more than 30 years.
20, it's 24 years now. So
Yeah.
uh, I mean, and we all get along very well. We have fun together. We don't quarrel that much. Um, I mean, we are all different. We're all different personalities, but we have all. I mean, it's always been working. Um Especially, we have a great deal of respect to one another and support one another when it's needed. So, I mean, that's a key. Uh, the biggest thing for us still being together and almost the same lineup the whole time is because we get along. We don't quarrel, and plus maybe we haven't had the band as a full-time job, so to say, and so we haven't had to tour uh, a lot. We did a lot of touring in the early days. We did, but we always had good trips and a lot of fun. We got along very well together, even though we're five different personalities. So I mean, that's the key. You need to have fun. You need to be able to talk.
Mm. Okay, okay. Well, you started the band in 1998, so it's 1998. But then you released your first album in 1999. It's 1 year after the official form of the band. So, but after that, you release Insanity, Expanding Sense, Lawyers of Light, Demonic Art, the Sinister Supremacy, and now this is Human Spirits, where the band just released albums or full lengths, no EPs, no singles, no splits, no live DVD recordings, so this kind of stuff. So why the band is one about the or is inclinated to the just to release albums, and why don't you didn't decide to release perhaps an EP and a compilation, this kind of stuff, or perhaps some early stuff like I think now is the it's a trend to release demo stuff from the bands from the old times.
Mm. I mean, we have done a couple of compilation albums with a couple of songs, like cover songs. We have, but mainly it's been about the album, the albums always. The compilation stuff with the covers has always been just a fun thing that we did in the early days. And I mean, we haven't. I mean, it all got so fast in the beginning, so we didn't release a demo even because the first demo was never released as a demo as such because we had an album deal immediately, so we didn't have to do that. So we don't have many songs. All the songs that we wrote, that was all going into the first album. So we did do a live DVD though. That we have done besides the albums.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, now when you start your career, the first album, Resident Angel, was released by War Music. Then the next one was released by Nuclear Blast, and Nuclear Blast the next Nuclear Blast 2. But but when you was released the Demonic Art, you changed the label with Massacre Records to now. So why these changes happened at that time, and how was the transition to the War Music, to Nuclear Blast, and to Massacre Records?
when we released the first album, Rusted Angel, that was on a small, very small independent label. Of course, they had big names. They had like Arch Enemy, for example, at the same time. They did a good job, definitely. But then we kind of got the name growing very quickly. We got good gigs, good festivals, very, very fast, and that kind of caught Nuclear Blast interests. And then we did, was it 3 albums with Nuclear Blast. Unfortunately, Nuclear Blast was getting so big in the early 2000s. So I guess we weren't big enough for Nuclear Blast. That's why so when the contract was over, Massacre was interested in us. And that's why we signed with them. So, Massacre is a smaller label, but they're definitely good enough for us. It's a great record label for us.
Okay. So, yeah, I think you answered this question a lot. What do you think about the fans that think that the Expanding Sense are the great album from Darkane for all time? Because I have a lot of friends that say that. So I got the album CD. So that's when I talk with other people around the world, they tell me the best album for Darkane is Expanding Sense. Then the next one, Layers of Lies. Layers of Lies is as a great one, but now and relating to this, we try to relate the next question because usually the last album is the best word for the band to date. So relating this aspect, what is your opinion about the Expanding Sense are the great albums of all time from Darkane?
That's a great question. The thing is, I actually listened to Expanding Senses today when I was at the gym, because it's being released again today on the digital platforms. And as I listened through it, I can understand why that is the most popular Darkane album. It got great hooks. Great melodies. Sometimes the vocals are kind of strange, but overall, it's a great album. It's more up to the point compared to, for example, Insanity, which is quite complicated. It's more difficult to listen to. And Expanding Sense has got a huge sound to it. Very ambient sound and very heavy. It's more bass on that one than on any other album that we've done. So, but it got great songs. Definitely has. For me, it's not the favorites. For me, it's definitely Sinister Supremacy. And of course the last one. But yeah, I can understand why people like Expanding so much. I do. We still play a couple of songs from that album even now, so live. So I understand that. And
Okay, so one time that I think many fans around the world saw is that Peter Wilder was in the rehearsals with Dream Theater to form a new to form the new drummer for them. So
yeah,
but then I think, well, then he plays with James Labrie and the solo project, this kind of stuff. So how do you see the situation outside his point of view? Because you are in the band, you are more than 24 years with the band with Darkane, but this achievement for Peter was a great successful, especially for the band, because I think this aspect is for some people is So, and now, Peter Willers, which band came from? Darkane, that's amazing. And many people search, look, this amazing accomplished.
Sure. I mean, Peter is definitely the sort of the poster guy of Darkane, because he's, I mean, his drum career is so much bigger than the other music careers in the band, because he's been in so many other constellations. I mean, like with Labrie, and of course the Dream Theater thing was huge. I mean, they had to pick between him and the guy who's playing with Dream Theater now. I can't remember his name, but so it was so close. It was so close they actually became a member of Dream Theater. So of course has helped us a little bit, definitely, because people look him up and okay, he's playing that band. Okay, let's listen to that band. So of course it has helped, but he's worked so hard for it to be able to become the drummer that he is. So I definitely he's definitely worth the attention. Definitely.
Okay. Well, when I hear when I you saw a common thing that I saw into Expanding Sense and Layers of Light is that especially the vocals, the Andre Sido. Now you return with Lawrence, but one aspect that I love, that what one aspect that I love is with the voice from Andre Sido is like when the air, this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
more hardcore stuff, this kind of stuff. But now Lawrence returned to the old sound in the bands in the 90s. So how do you do these songs from Layers of Life and Expanding Says with him? Because Andreas has a different approach to the guttural stuff.
Yeah. They have very different approaches. I mean, when
And
it
I
comes
and I
to,
think and I think some parts from Andreas I love it because he sings like a maniac.
I know, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, Andreas definitely did a lot of cool stuff uh, with the vocals. He did. Most of them are actually Christopher's and Peter's ideas, so they kind of pushed Andreas to do it. But he's done a lot of good and crazy stuff. Lawrence is more controlled. He's more of a schooled vocalist when it comes to our type of music. Um, so I mean, yeah, it's, I mean, their vocal techniques and style is very different. I mean, I can also think that that is what can make Darkane interesting as well, because it's so varied when it comes to the different vocalists. I really enjoy the more thrashy vocals that Lawrence has, but when we play those old songs, Lawrence kind of copies what Andreas does, what Andreas did, but make it his own kind of style. But it's still, I mean, if you would see us play old songs that Andreas played on or sang on, of course you would make a difference. But it's still the core ideas that Andreas did, Lawrence will also do. So he managed it. He managed. Lawrence manages Andreas' vocals very well as well. So that is no problem.
Okay, okay. No, now talking about this new album. For you, when you compose and writing process about all these new songs into the Arcane, well, you have 10 new songs in this new album. Which one is your preferred one? Perhaps it's Awaken, Embrace the Flames, or perhaps it's mentioned of Torture. Who knows? Because sometimes when you compose or you are in the writing process of the new album, you have anecdotes and then you have memories. This song remembers something, this song remembers not. So which are your preferred ones to play live, especially?
Ooh, when we play live, you say?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, we will definitely play the title track, Inhuman Spirits, Awakening. We will play, and we will play Mansion of Torture, but we're not going to play it on this gig in the summer. But we'll play as many as we can from the new album, for sure. We will.
Mm. And what is your prefer one in the time to writing in the time the writing process of this new album?
The one that I prefer.
Yes, yes.
Ooh, that was difficult. I think my favorite one is Awakening because it's more old school. It's more simple. It's more old school, more brutal. I think that's the one I like the most, actually.
Mm.
It's, I mean, it's great to play. Inhuman Spirits is a great song, but it's a very difficult song to play because there's so many things happening. But it's a great song, but it's a lot of work to play. I'll tell you. Um, but yeah, my favorite one is probably Awakening for sure.
One thing that you said is that the human spirits has a complicated schemes, rhymes, and this kind of stuff. And for me, I always think that the Arcane has this aspect. It's very technical stuff. I love the stuff, and I think that's why many people doesn't like the albums after Layers of Light, because you are developing a lot of techniques. You are put schemes with a different times, this kind of stuff. So how do you achieve this way to in the writing process? Because sometimes, well, many people think, especially for the 80s and 90s, they prefer to do like something like this: A B section, then the chorus, then A B section, the chorus. But you
Yeah,
are A B chorus, then
yeah,
E F chorus, then return to A
sure.
B chorus, something like that, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've always strived for making the song more interesting, both for us but also for the listener. Um, I am more of a maybe more of a traditional guy when it comes to music, uh, but Peter and Christopher is very much about having different time signatures and different parts meshed up and all in the songs. I mean, it's great to play and it's a good variation, as long as it doesn't get too complicated. I mean, that especially on the Insanity album, some of the songs, which I also listened to today on the gym, it was holy shit, it was difficult. It was complex arrangements and all that, but we still try to keep it interesting and varied. That is the key, most definitely.
Mm. Okay, okay, okay. Now, as I said, we will talk about other matters into the metal world. And into this matter, what is your opinion about the new bands, the new releases? Because there's a lot of releases now. It's impossible to catch up
Yeah,
1 or 2 or 3 years, especially with these digital platforms. When the people love to do their playlist with 1, 2, 3 songs. They not anymore like me or like you to listen all album in a way, just pick the songs. So how do you feel about the digital platform now? Is or good or is bad for the musicians, or perhaps it's just bad, no? Who knows? And what do you think the albums doesn't have the same impact compared to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, no?
yeah. I mean, I was actually from the beginning when the digital platforms like Spotify started to come up. I was pretty much against it because from the beginning we think that they kind of stole the music, so to say. I don't think that anymore. I like Spotify and I use it, but I use it in a very old-fashioned way. I don't like to make playlists and such with tens of many different bands. I like to listen to the one album at a time, like I used to do in the old days. But sometimes it's a good thing. Spotify and such is a good thing to find out about new bands. Definitely, that is one way that I'm using it. Um, but um, but yeah, it's a lot of music. It kind of getting drenched. You're getting drenched by all the new music that's being put out today, as you say, especially now after the pandemic. It's crazy. Um, but nowadays, I've actually gone back to vinyl quite a lot. I really enjoy it. I have a good things at home. That it sounds so good. I love vinyls.
Hmm.
Um, so that's a good thing because they're going to re-release the old albums on vinyl, and of course the new one. So that's great.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So talking about one aspect. So as you said, the vinyl is returning. Many people is collecting these formats, and the tape too. The tape
Yeah.
has a great comeback for especially for the collectors. But now the CD is I think the last format that they people prefer to collect, because the CD is the first epoch of the digital area, no? Because they all the time prefer the vinyl and tape. I don't like the tape, but because the tape since the 80s sounds
Yeah.
like crap. So I don't know why, but the people. So into this matter, the science says that the vinyl and the tape has an analog sound, this kind of stuff, but the correct way and the correct way to hear the music is with the CD, because the CD has the more range to hear the music, more details into it. So according to the science, because this is the best way to hear music. The digital is not the way. The digital is just a tool, not a correct way to hear music. So what do you think about this opinion about the science that the tells us the CD are the best way to hear music, and the vinyl and the tape are just for the collectors? No, no, it's not the good way to hear music.
Uh, well, I disagree with that because I mean, when I started getting back into vinyl again, I was surprised on how good it sounds if you have good stuff, like a good vinyl player and a good amplifier to it and good speakers. It's actually the dynamics of the albums on vinyl is actually better than on CD because, especially, I mean, in the 90s, they wanted to squash the music as much as possible to get the. I mean, everyone wanted to be the loudest, and that kind of continued all the way in the 2000s. Now, though, it has dropped down quite a bit. So now the CDs and albums aren't that compressed. So the loudness war is still on, but it's not as huge as it was in the 90s and the 2000s. Luckily, but I mean, the dynamics of vinyl is, I think it's better. Uh, Maybe the top end is better on CD, but with my stuff, I have not heard that. Maybe the bass, though. The
Hmm.
bass is could slightly be a little bit more massive on CD, but that's so little. So
Hmm. Hmm.
so screw
Okay.
science.
Okay, okay. Well, talking about other aspects, especially with you, you play as with Terror 2000s. So when we will see another album from this band with Bjorn in it? Because Terror for Sale is from 2005. So now it's more like always 20 years. It's very near. It's very closer to say 20 years from the last album.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, we have talked a little bit about doing another album, but I know that Speed Street from Soilwork, I mean, he's been so busy with Soilwork and Night Flight Orchestra, and now he also plays guitar, I think, in his wife's band or a girlfriend's band. So he's so busy. We actually started writing a couple of songs. Dan, the bass player, he wrote two songs a couple of years ago. That was great. That were great. And I wrote one song as well, but it kind of stopped there because Speed was he was so busy, so it was difficult to do. But we'll definitely when Speed has a little bit more time on his hands, we might do another one. It would have been a lot of fun to do. I would love to do it. Another Terry 2000 album.
Okay, okay. Well, we are very close to in this interview, Class. And what are the future plans that the band has to this new album? Perhaps perhaps a big one, a Latin American tour in the coming years or this year, or perhaps more videos incoming, perhaps a European tour, perhaps a North American tour. Who knows?
Well, I really hope so. I would like to go on tour a lot with this album. Latin America would have been great to tour. I mean, we do have a lot of fans there, so it would have been great to do. It's 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 been on its way a couple of times, but it's kind of ran out in the sand because of money wise, I guess. Unfortunately, European tour will probably happen. Nothing is booked yet. There are some talks, but nothing is booked. We have a couple of gigs here and there planned up. Uh, but hopefully the touring schedule will be filled fairly soon. But the problem is there are so many bands touring now, so it's difficult. It's very difficult to come into that business sort of right now. But we work on it for sure.
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. Well, class, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one as I did, and thank you very much for your time. Congratulations for the new beast. I did my pre-order. I hope I arrive soon. So perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and Metalerium followers?
Well, to all the fans in Latin America, we definitely hope that we will come to your shores. That would have been an honor for us to play to you, for sure, and to all the readers of Metallium. Yeah,
Metalerium, that's right.
Metallium. To all the readers of Metallium, stay metal.